It's a time for a package from China. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video, we are going to take a close look at the Powkiddy X20, because this is going to be a Powkiddy review. But let's take a close look inside, because I'm curious what are we going to get with the new generation of Chinese handhelds. Alright guys, so what we're going to get are not a lot of stuff. Simply because we're going to get a micro USB for charging, that we're not going to need for this video. Ooh, we're going to get a very nice booklet. Oh, with some basic explanation how it works, what can you do with it. Interesting. Okay, so next up, let's check the handheld. So the first thing I'm noticing is that this thing weighs quite heavy. And that is something I don't see very often with these, let's say super cheap handhelds, because this thing gets really in the price range like an RGB 10 and it's getting really close. So what can I tell about it? Let's take a close look at it. So 4 years ago, I started reviewing these Chinese handhelds, and there was quite some development and some interesting things that changed out. So to begin with this handheld, sadly they didn't fix the D-pad at the left side. They're still using the 4 buttons, no idea why they are doing this. But nevertheless, they did change out some things like the thumbsticks. And it comes also with a beautiful IPS display, things we didn't have back in the day for the same amount of money. The touch of the buttons, as you can see, there is quite a movement and it feels quite cheap. The press from the membrane beneath is not bad at all. So the joysticks can be compared with one from the Nintendo Switch. Not of course the same quality, but they are coming really close with these nice rubber grips on it. So that's not bad at all, having here the select button and here having a very tiny minus button. So at the right side, same story, analog stick, the buttons, plus, and here we're having the start. A quite interesting option is that we're having 2 micro USB connections, and the reason seems to be that we can use this thing like a game system. I didn't get the controls, but I can get some out of my stock of controllers to check it out and use this thing like a game system. And mini HDMI out, that is not very common on these handhelds. On-off switch, we're having here a CF input, and also we're having a jack output. So for the features, it is not bad at all. So at the back we're going to get a mono sound, and I'm curious how this is going to sound. So when powering on the system, the first thing that we're going to get introduced by the Powkiddy intro. Takes quite a couple of seconds to boot up, but not very long. The software itself is similar like all the other devices I've reviewed, like the arcade machine. We're going to get the decals that we can't change out. We're having here games, music, watch a pretty picture, watch some naughty movies, and here we're going to go to the browsing through the folders. The settings, language, theme, off-screen settings. This is basically more like standby for the display. The key tune. We can restore default settings, system information. Fun fact that this thing exactly runs on the same software that I've seen before. There's only one downside, I don't see the aspect ratio settings anymore. So yeah, they removed basically the best one in my opinion. Okay, so let's try some games and let's see how is the emulation. Is it just as good like all the other products I've reviewed, or is it just really horrible? Okay guys, so let's talk about the specifications. Or in other words, it's time for the ETA Prime moment. So the operating system of this handheld is Linux. We have seen it before with other Powkiddy devices. The model number is X20. The CPU itself is the GB2. Then we're having only 256 MB of RAM, or that's what the specification says. Then we're having only 128 MB. Don't know if it's exactly correct, but it is maybe possible that this thing has a very tiny storage, simply pure for the operating system. The CF support is up to 64 GB, and we're having a 5-inch IPS display that has a resolution of 960 by 544. The support of games is quite huge in my opinion, like MAME, Famicom, Super Famicom, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Mega Drive, but PlayStation 1. But the question remains, of course, how does the display look? And how are games playing on this X20 device. But I just want to point out, they didn't lie about the LCD display. Man oh man, this thing looks really amazing. And that is just a very positive thing about the X20 handheld. So I must say, the single speaker doesn't sound that bad, but I'm quite disappointed. I wish they went for the second one, so we got a really good stereo sound. Oh man, the D-pad on this thing is freaking awful. Glad we have a decent analog stick. The audio doesn't go really loud if you ask me. A quick point out that the system also has a way to have a quick load and quick save, and if you have some problems with the controls, you can reconfigure those in the menu. By pressing select and start in the game, you can get into the menu before you're going to get out of the game. You can basically change it out or save and load your game. Oh, one thing is for sure, all the soundtracks are here, or sound effects, and everything sounds like it should be. Yep, all the sound effects are here. For the Mega Drive, I did notice there were some difference with sound levels between emulators. I found that was quite annoying. But this is, by the way, the loudest setting. Oh, I'm almost messed up. Sound effects are here. Okay, so next up, let's try PlayStation 1. Let's see how it runs on the system. You can hear a little stutter. There is... Ah, here it is. Just pressing the wrong button. The button layout is not mapped correctly. See, normally you go into right Y, and then you're going to do it like this, so they messed everything up. But we can fix it by pressing select and start and going to the controls, and basically you can reconfigure everything this way. So that is a good thing, but the aspect ratio can be changed, and that isn't just a big bummer. Okay, so when you take a close look at the X20 like in game system, when it comes to the controllers, it's a mixed bag, and especially when you want to connect a controller. I've tried more like a ready to go plug and play, places to knock off with micro USB connection, and some other ones, but I find it difficult to find a controller that's actually working with the system combined, more like in the game console mode. So take that into consideration. So let's try it on game and let's see how it runs on the full HD HDMI signal output. And even when we're going to play PlayStation on the HDMI signal output, it works like a charm. Oh, there goes my perfect. Okay guys, so what do I think of the X20? It's always a shame there is something they mess up, and especially when it comes to this handheld. The D-pad is awful, the software is fixed, so this means we can't add emulators, we can not mess around with it like with an open dingoes. And the 256 MB RAM, seriously? Now in 2021? And that was a little bit of a bummer. I must say I'm surprised that some of these games are running pretty good. But what you see is what you're going to get with this handheld. So yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, comment the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.